Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kizzy and I talk about books, so let's get into it. So this video today is going to be on the worst books I've read because of Booktube or Bookstagram. So I have followed Bookstagram a lot longer than I have Booktube. That's how I found Booktube. So some of these I did purchase because of Instagram and they disappointed me. So I wouldn't say they're necessarily bad books, some of them I did enjoy. Some of them I just didn't enjoy as much as people raved about them and I was disappointed therefore. The others I just really didn't like. So I have 5 books here today, and one that's actually mainly because I was looking at my shelf, and a lot of the books that I have bought because of Instagram or Booktube I actually did enjoy, and a lot of them I haven't read yet. So we have to wait until I've read more books because there'll probably be another video of this coming up. So the first book I have, I think this was because of Instagram, and that is A Shiver of Snow and Sky by Lisa Ledecky. So this, when it came out, was on Instagram loads. It seemed like everyone I followed was posting about it, so I picked it up and I don't know, I just found it a bit dull. I really can't remember what it's about now, but it sounded really cool and it just felt a bit flat, I think, for me. Let me read the blurb. So this says, Ice, Myth, Magic, Danger, all of which should be good. On the frozen island of Skane, the sky speaks. Beautiful lights appear on clear... Shari. Get rid of that. Beautiful lights appear on clear nights and their colours have meaning. Green means all is well and the goddess is happy. Blue means a snowstorm is on its way. And then there's red. Red is rare, a warning. 17 years ago the sky turned red just as Osa was born, unleashing a plague that claimed the lives of hundreds of her villagers, including her own mother. This time, when the night sky once again bleeds crimson, she must discover how to stop the onslaught before many lives are lost again. A heart-racing, atmospheric fantasy debut that will chill you to the bone. Well, it didn't chill me to the bone. I didn't really like the main character, if I remember correctly. I think she was a little bit dull. And I think, was there a romance in it? Either the romance or the friendship within it I didn't really love or was there for. And it just felt a bit meh. I think I read this when I was kind of getting into more adult fantasy, so I was preferring slightly more developed kind of plot and characters that you kind of get more of in adult fantasy, and this just was very much on the lower YA scale, like the younger YA scale. So I think that's why I wasn't a fan. So yeah, bought this, regret it. Will probably, there is a second book in the series I think, but I won't be buying it, I won't be continuing it. And I'll probably get rid of this if I ever chuck in out any books. The next one, I'm pretty sure because of Instagram as well. I actually don't think I've seen anyone on Booktube recently, or anyway, I mean it's not a recent book so I don't know why I'd see it recently, but I don't think I've seen anyone on Booktube talk about it. But this was everywhere on Booktube, and that is To Kill a Kingdom, and that's by Alexandra Christo. So this I actually didn't dislike. I actually really enjoyed it, but it's tiny. Like, it's so small. On Instagram, I didn't get the size of this, or somehow all the photos I saw must have been like flat lays or something like that, because when this arrived, I was shocked. It's a standalone, and it's this small. And that kind of did show through the thing, so it felt like all of it was built up, and then it had like a midpoint big reveal, and then it ended. So this could have been twice as long, and it would have been so much better because I was only just starting to get into the characters, only just starting to really enjoy the character dynamics of it, and then it stopped. So I would recommend it, but just be prepared that it's a lot shorter than it should be. So for those that don't know, this is a mermaid retelling, I think. A Little Mermaid retelling? Is it? I don't know. It might be. I'll just read the blurb again because that's easier, because I'm very bad at summarising plots. And I read this like 2-3 years ago now. So, I have a heart for every year I've been alive. There are 17 hidden in the sands of my bedroom. Every so often I claw through the shingles just to check they're still there, buried deep and bloody. Princess Lyra is siren royalty and revered across the sea until she is cursed into humanity by the ruthless sea queen. Now Lyra or Lyra? I don't know. Now Lyra must deliver the heart of the infamous siren killer or remain a human forever. Prince Ilian is heir to the most powerful kingdom of the world and captain to the deadly crew of siren hunters. When he rescues a drowning woman from the ocean, she promises to help him destroy sirenkind for good. but he has no way of knowing whether he can trust her. Dun dun dun. So yeah, it was a good storyline, like it was good, it just could have had a lot more. I don't think it needed to be a standalone. This was a disappointing standalone, but not necessarily a disappointing book. But are they the same? I don't know, maybe. So yeah, I just wanted more from this, a lot more, so I was severely disappointed by it. So it's definitely not a worse book, like it's not a bad book. I just feel like I'm saying the same thing again, so we're gonna move on now. So if you saw my video that I can't remember what the title was. Oh, I think it was like the books that you love that I hate or something like that. So like popular books that I don't like. You'll know this one because it was in there. And I definitely bought this because of both Booktube and Instagram, because it is still talked about on Booktube and it is still posted on Instagram. And that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I didn't like this. I really didn't like it. I think the more I think about it, the more I dislike it. It was just not anything special in my eyes. I don't know. I didn't really get it. I kind of have the urge to reread it just because so many people do love it and maybe I missed something reading it, but it just didn't click with me. It didn't click. So for those that don't know, this, well, I don't know how you didn't know because everyone raves about it and I feel like an outsider, but it's fine. We are all unique here. So this is about a girl who is half fae, half human, but she lives in the human world, and then one day her parents are killed by her fae dad, so she gets taken into the fae world and lives in the fae world, even though she's half human. Or is she full human? She's full human. Can we read the blurb again? I think we should read the blurb again. Yeah, she's full human. Okay, so of course I want to be like them. They're beautiful as blades forged in some divine fire. They will live forever, and Carden is even more beautiful than the rest. I hate him more than all others. I hate him so much that sometimes when I look at him, I can hardly breathe. One terrible morning, Jude and her sisters see their parents murdered in front of them. The fearsome assassin abducts all three girls and brings them to the world of the fairy, where Jude is installed into the royal court. Mocked and tormented for being merely mortal, Jude soon realised that to survive in this treacherous, dangerous new world she needs to be smart, cunning and deceitful as the Fae themselves. But the stairway to power is fraught with shadows and betrayal, and looming over all is the infuriating, arrogant and charismatic Prince Carden. Jude must take the utmost care. One thing I do remember actually is that the ending of this was really good. So the ending did make me want to reread or read the next book, but I never did because the rest of it didn't. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, nah, I can't bother doing that. So I never did. So I am thinking maybe reread it. Let me know if you think you should, because maybe I should, but I didn't like it, sorry. Now this next book I definitely bought because of Booktube. This was years and years and years and years ago. This is when I first started watching Booktube, then I stopped for a while and then I started again. And this book, mainly I bought because of the cover, and mainly, I don't know why. Actually, I have no idea why I bought it. Because it was an adult book. I was like 14 at the time. I'd never read anything like it, so I didn't get it at all. Like, it went totally over my head. And that is The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. So I think I read this because the booktuber mainly read these books or watched these books. I don't watch her anymore just because our reading styles are really different. Exhibit A. And like, it was the first booktuber I kind of watched. It's so dusty as well. So I kind of didn't really know how it worked, or like whether or not, I don't know. It was my first kind of toe dipping into the booktube world, and I didn't kind of grasp that people have different book opinions. So even though someone would rave about a book, doesn't mean I'm gonna like it. But I did buy this book. I powered through it. I did read it, and it's quite big. Like, it's 600 and something pages, which, you know, for your first reading of an adult book, that has nothing to do with what you normally read, or it kind of is. The thing is though, I kind of want to reread this. As I said, when I read this when I was however old, I didn't understand it at all. I don't think I'd even read fantasy at that point, and I think this has elements of fantasy in it. From what I remember, it's a bit weird, it's a bit trippy. I kind of am relating it to The Night Circus in my head. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But I do want to reread it because I think it is a little bit like that. And I think it follows multiple points of view, and some of them I just didn't get because one of them is like a Oxford society person and he does really weird stuff, and then it all comes in a really weird thing, and I think, yeah, I don't know. So the blurb of this says, run away one drowsy summer's afternoon with Holly Sykes, wayward teenager, broken-hearted rebel and unwitting, pawn in a titanic hidden conflict. Over 6 decades, the consequences of a moment's impulse unfold, drawing an ordinary woman into a world far beyond her imagination. And as life in the near future turns perilous, the pledge she made to a stranger may become the key to her family's survival. So actually it sounds really good, so I might reread this and actually give it another go, because it does something I would like now, but then I wouldn't have, because I think the best book I'd ever read was Twilight at that point, so slightly different vibes, but that's The Bone Clocks by David Mitchell. The 5th and final book I don't have with me, but you will know about it if you listen to or watched, because it's a video. My March wrap up, and that is The Rage of Dragons by, I don't know who it's by, I can't remember. I can see it but I can't remember. Anyway, The Rage of Dragons. So this book is not a terrible book. It has many good things. Well, I wouldn't say they were good things because they're quite harrowing things, because describing them as good, but many things to appreciate within it, like its use of revenge and obsession and depression. However, it has a lot of war in it, which is, I've discovered through reading that book, something in fantasy that I'm not overly in love with. So that is quite a big part in a lot of fantasy, but I prefer more of the characters and the worlds and magic systems and all that kind of thing that you get in fantasy, instead of the war side of it, which a lot of fantasy have, but they can kind of be intermingled with all those other elements, and I'm much more appreciative of those. Or they have a much bigger build-up. If you've read all of Throne of Glass, you know that the whole series is building up to that last book, and that last book is mainly like fighting and war, but I don't mind that because it was a massive build-up and it kind of tied in more with everything, whereas this had a very different vibe to it. But I read this because I watched it off Murphy Napier's channel, and I love her videos. I think she's really informative. She's great if you love fantasy. All her reviews are really kind of to the point, very informative, and this was one of the videos that she had nothing negative to say about the book. Sadly, I didn't have the same opinion. So it's, again, not a bad book. I would recommend it if you liked war or fighting in general in fantasies. If you don't, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to you. So I was very disappointed with that book because I was really looking forward to it. It was the first time I'd read a book based on her recommendations. The other books I kind of hadn't bought yet or hadn't read yet, and most of the time, like, I'm sure I will love all her other recommendations, or a lot of her other recommendations, because she does seem to like a lot of the same books that I do. This just happened to not be the one. It happened to not be the one. So, yes. Sorry about that. Didn't like that one. But I regret buying that one. And it was a hardback as well, so it's quite expensive. That's the thing. This is a hardback, so I feel like I should love it a lot more than I do because I spent more money on it. But there you go. We didn't. It's fine. We're moving on. We're moving on. So those are the 5 books that I didn't like because, yeah, I was very disappointed by them. That's my video. I don't really know how to round this off. Let me know if there's any books that you've read that are from Booktube or anything like that, because, you know, we do recommend a lot of books on Booktube and I get drawn into just as much as anyone else. Most of my books are probably from Booktube, but I haven't read a lot of them yet, so we'll find out. We'll probably do another video soon. So, yes, thank you again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a like. If you wanted to give any input, make a comment. And if you like the books that I talk about, not necessarily these ones because I don't like them, but if you like the way I talk about them, there we go. Subscribe to my channel because it would be greatly appreciated, and I shall see you in the next video.